The late afternoon sun hung low over the dusty small-town highway where silence was usually only broken by passing trucks and distant sirens, and on this particular day Sheriff Daniels stood outside a roadside checkpoint, his hand resting firmly on his belt as his sharp eyes locked onto a rumbling sound growing louder in the distance, until a group of motorcycles appeared on the horizon. Black leather jackets, roaring engines, and the unmistakable presence of the Hells Angels, and at the center of the group was a lone rider who seemed different from the rest, slower, steadier, carrying not just the weight of the road but something deeper, something personal, and as the bikes rolled to a stop, dust swirling around them, the sheriff stepped forward with authority, his voice firm as he ordered the riders to shut off their engines, his hand already signaling backup because everything about the situation screamed trouble, and as the other bikers glared back in defiance, the sheriff's attention locked onto the lone biker stepping off his motorcycle. A man named Marcus, a single father raising his young daughter while trying to keep his life from falling apart, but all the sheriff saw at first was the patch on his vest, the feared Hells Angels insignia that had caused chaos in countless reports, and so without hesitation the sheriff moved to detain him, handcuffs ready, voice cold as he said the words that made everyone tense, but just as he reached forward something stopped him completely in his tracks, because engraved on Marcus's vest beneath the biker patch was a small faded badge number that the sheriff instantly recognized from years ago, a number tied to a tragic case that had changed his life forever, and suddenly the aggressive stance in the sheriff's eyes shifted into disbelief, his grip loosening as memories rushed back of a night years ago when a young officer had been saved during a violent highway ambush by a stranger who never asked for credit, never spoke his name, only disappeared into the night after pulling the wounded officer to safety, and that officer had been him, and the man who saved him that night was the same biker now standing quietly in front of him, and the realization hit like lightning, freezing the entire scene, the other officers watching in confusion as the sheriff slowly lowered his handcuffs and whispered the words, "It was you." And Marcus simply nodded, calm and tired, not proud, not afraid, just human, and the tension that once filled the air dissolved into silence, heavy and emotional, because the sheriff now saw not a criminal, not a gang member, but a father who had once risked everything to save a stranger in uniform, and as the truth settled in, Marcus explained that he had only joined the Hells Angels after losing stability in his life, trying to survive while raising his daughter alone, never forgetting that one night when he chose to do the right thing without expecting anything in return, and now standing in front of the same man he saved, he expected judgment, but instead he saw something unexpected in the sheriff's eyes. Gratitude mixed with shame for how quickly he had judged him, and slowly the sheriff stepped back, ordering the handcuffs removed, his voice softer as he acknowledged the truth that no badge, no patch, and no reputation could define a man more than his actions, and in that moment the entire checkpoint changed, not because the law disappeared, but because understanding replaced assumption, and as Marcus rode away later with his daughter holding him tight, the sheriff stood watching quietly. Realizing that justice was not always about arresting people, sometimes it was about recognizing the unseen sacrifices behind their scars, and the man he nearly arrested had once been the reason he was still alive today.